Welcome to the Merlin Crypto Market Update located on the X app. I'm Abs, the host and senior engagement officer at Merlin, and today's episode features a replay from our Merlin X Spaces. Every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m., you can catch us live on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. We dive into captivating discussions about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology with our engaged audience, special guests, and the founders of Merlin. Please note, these spaces can sometimes experience technical hiccups and end suddenly. It's all part of the experience. Thanks for tuning into the Crypto Market Update, proudly brought to you by Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for jumping on to this Twitter Spaces. This Twitter Spaces is brought to you by Merlin. Tonight is our fourth Merlin Market Update with your host, Abs, Merlin's Senior Engagement Specialist. You can see Abs every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern on the Good Morning Crypto Show, found on the 3T Warrior Academy YouTube channel. You can also follow Abs on Twitter at 3TGM Crypto. I will be your space moderator for tonight. My name is Jeremy, one of the co-founders of Merlin. You can follow me on all socials at Age of Jeremy. Tonight, our special guest is Crypto Ari, a longtime educator and content creator in the crypto space, known for bringing the latest updates to the XRP community and developments out of Japan. You can follow Crypto Ari at Twitter at Sento Sumo Saba. That's SENTOS Sumo, SUMO Saba, SABA. And you can find her on YouTube at Crypto Ari at ERICHANI in Tokyo, 3chan in Tokyo. Merlin is the smartest way to track your crypto. Merlin allows you to see all your coins in one simple to use dashboard, and also allows you to create exit strategies so you can get notified when your assets approach their targets, so you know when it's time to sell. We are running 2 90-day giveaways for Merlin upon launch, which is coming very, very soon. The first giveaway is if you follow us on Twitter and share this space. We will be drawing one lucky winner at the end of this space to get that 90 days free upon launch. We will reach out to you to collect information. And the second way is to follow us on Instagram threads at Merlin_crypto. And once we reach 300 threaders, one lucky threader will be chosen to get that 90-day free trial. Now, we love debates on our spaces, but please keep it family friendly, as these will also be podcast for one, and two, please be respectful. We want these to be an inclusive atmosphere for all to engage and update the crypto community. And one last disclaimer, the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Merlin or any entity associated with Merlin. So we are going to give it a few more minutes so I can bring some more speakers up, and then we will get started. So one more moment. All right. One last time. This is the Merlin Spaces brought to you by Merlin with your amazing host, Abs. We have an amazing show for you tonight with our guest, Crypto Ari. So one last time, we love debate on our spaces, but please keep it family friendly, and please make it inclusive to everybody. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. And I'm going to kick it over to Abs to get the party started.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing tonight? Thanks for being here on this Sunday. So today's episode is going to be pretty unique, and I think it's going to be an exciting one because we've got two major topics I think our listeners should be aware of. The first one is dispelling the fake rumors around the National Bank of Australia and the partnership with Ripple. And I'm excited to ask Crypto Ari that question because I watched her video today. But the second big claim going around, especially this weekend, is that the SEC is looking to appeal the ruling from Judge Torres, but it's much more complicated than they're making it seem. So we got some great content for you guys. Before we get into it, I'd love to do some introductions. Johnny Crypto, how you feeling, my friend?
I'm hanging out here on the hammock by the lake, peaceful, beautiful, with all you people. It doesn't get better any better than that, Abs. I'm doing great. Can't wait to hop into it.
Living the dream, Johnny Crypto. Can't wait to be out there later this week. And Crypto Ari, thank you so much. I know I'm not sure what time it is in Japan. I think it's about 9 a.m. So we really appreciate you making time for us. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm doing great. Yeah, it's fun to join you for sure. I have a very short window, as you know, because actually I'm getting ready to do something with Moonchaser at WebEx. It's related to WebEx, which is the big event that occurs in Tokyo, and there's just lots of crypto people and companies that are traveling into Tokyo, and they've got a lot going on. There's just so much going on now and for the next couple of days. So I'm sorry to have giving you such a short window, but I love your topics for sure.
Thank you, and we'll make note of that. We'll do some quick introductions here. I see we got Gonzo and Mario joining us. Let's start with Gonzo. How you feeling? I feel like it's been a week since I've heard from you, Gonzo. How you feeling, my friend?
Hey, what's up, Abs? I'm actually feeling really good, man. I'm losing my voice a little bit, but I literally was on vacation for like 2 weeks, totally unplugged from like crypto technology. So just kind of getting my feet under me. But it was a very, very nice vacation. It was a good break. Funny that I come back and absolutely like all the price action exactly the same from before when I unplugged.
It's a special time, Gonzo. It's an interesting week to go on vacation, that's for sure. And Mario, how you feel, my friend, before we get into our topics? Thanks for being here.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm feeling great. Happy to be here. It's a great Sunday evening. We're going to discuss some awesome topics, and it's nice to have Crypto Ari again talking to us. So yeah, hope you're all doing good.
Crypto Ari, with that being said, I got to go to you first on this National Bank of Australia news. Every time I check my Twitter feed this weekend, that article was retweeted by some of my favorite people. But after just a little bit of research, we realized that the partnership isn't what they're making it seem on Twitter. And so after watching your video today, I know you're able to fill us in. What is actually happening in Australia? Is there any connection to Ripple there?
I think there's going on in Australia for Ripple. There are some of the bigger banks that are using RippleNet, and then we have Novati. Novati is using both Ripple and Stellar to build out their stable coins. And yeah, just this particular story, I don't know what's going on out there, but there seems to be this trend of people going back and picking out stories that occurred a very long time ago and then making it look like it just happened and it was just a new announcement. This particular bank, which is the National Australia Bank, did do a proof of concept with a technology company that's kind of like an Accenture, but it's a little different. But they did partake with the Canadian bank back in 2016, and they did get it complete. You can read this particular gentleman who project. He has a blog that he wrote that it was complete, and he called it a success at that time, but it had complete in 2017, and that's really all of the news that has occurred between public announcements with Ripple and NAB. And then so they have since gone on to work with Consensus. And they went on also to build out their stablecoin with a Ethereum-based technology. It's called Project Atom. And then the concept for them, or the strategy going forward, is pursuing multi-currency stablecoins for their cross-border remittances, and that's on their website that you can read all about. And their roadmap going forward is very clear. Now, could they use RippleNet in the future? Yeah, of course, because I actually think there's going to be banks that use different approaches and different technologies based on what it is they're trying to do. It's like what we see in the protocols now, where you see these hybrid solutions where it's sometimes half DeFi, half CeFi, and then it's they use XRP Ledger for the payment section, but they might use Avalanche for the platform, and then they might use the EVM the Ethereum virtual machine or the smart contracts. I think the banks are going to be the same way. They're going to use different solutions and different protocols for there are different solutions. So I'm not saying that they won't use Ripple in the future, but when we saw this article that came out, it was positioned like it just happened. It was an announcement. They actually had a quote in there. This is the reason why I've thought to myself, something's wrong here, because usually anytime there is a quote in an article, I'll take that quote and do a Google search on it. And if it's a real quote, and usually the quotes are quotes, right? And there's nothing changed inside of those quote marks. You'll be able to find a source exactly where it is, whether it's a release or the original document. You can usually find it within about 5 minutes at most. You can find it, but I couldn't find this one. So then they referenced a guy that was talking about this. Well, they spelled his name wrong and they had his position wrong. And I thought, oh, wait a minute here. This is definitely something's weird on this. And it was also not being announced by any top tier medias. It was these medias that were releasing it are really the ones that just grab news from the web, and they don't do any research. They might say they do research and fact check, but they don't. And I just said to myself, I don't think so. So I didn't touch the story, but I watched it carefully. And then sure enough, Takeda, which is one of the media sources that picked it up, came back out with a correction. And they said that they had been contacted by NAB and that they wanted to make it clear that they were not partnered with Ripple. So they didn't even, like, we're a RippleNet partner, but we don't use XRP. They didn't say that. They said, we want to make sure that you understand we are not partnered with Ripple. And that the gentleman that was mentioned in the article, that position that he was given was incorrect. And so then I knew it was a confirmation for me. Right. This is again another one of those stories where we're seeing a lot of lately. This kind of old news and then slightly tweaked and changed, and then some quote was made up on the inside. But also too, there was never a source link to prove out that this came from a believable, verifiable source. So I think that when we're retweeting these articles and we're sharing, we should at least do the 10 to 15 minutes to double check that this article really does have a link to a source and that you really can verify. Thanks.
And because you're short on time, I'd love to just get right into this Japanese article as well. The CEO of SBI has constantly been connected to Ripple and XRP over the years, and everybody refers to that article that we actually learned is a misquote. We figured that out this week on our show with you, that there is a quote from him that says, every bank in Japan will use XRP by 2025. That is a misquote. That's been misrepresented. But he did retweet an article this week after the Ripple ruling, and he was actually applauding Ripple for their win. So maybe you can elaborate on what's going on in Japan when it comes to Ripple and XRP.
Yeah. Okay. So that article that is sourced. Now they do have a source to that article. It was on CoinPost. It's in Japanese, and it's a very long interview. It took place in 2019, and what he was talking about by 2025 was that every bank would be using S coin, and in S for SBI. He was going to launch his own royalty-like stable coin. That has since been, he's not pursuing that anymore, but it was all about his S coin that was going to be used, not XRP. So that's kind of funny. And I think it was CoinSpeaker who originally put out the article. And then of course we've got all medias that just pick up the stories. They don't verify, they don't double check, and they just run with it. And then those rumors become crazy fact after a few years, and it's just been shared over and over and over again. So he is a big advocate of XRP. He loves XRP. He loves RippleNet. He's the largest outside shareholder of Ripple. He's also the largest shareholder of R3. So yeah, he's doing everything he can. He uses it in multiple ways. He does with the digital asset. I mean, he must use XRP no less than 10 different ways, not just trading, but he's put it into a derivative with a combination of a fiat. He's used it as a source of salary for the e-gamers. He's used it as a bonus, participate in their consulting services. You can also get it as points if you use a Visa. I mean, you think of every way he can craft a service or product. He packs XRP in there. He even even makes XRP part of the shareholders' benefit. I mean, seriously, the list is long. I've listed it out before, and it's more than 10 different ways that he uses it.
Erie, maybe you can highlight some of the things coming with XLS30D. The proposal's been talked about for so long that I think the automated market maker is the biggest everyone's focused on. But what are you focused on with XLS30D?
Yeah, such a great question, because we have we can see exactly what they're doing, but there's still a lot of questions to be had, like the actual risk factor, the how we actually use it. It's going to be a single-sided, which is very unique. It does create an environment where volatility is your friend instead of a problem, which is, within the DeFi and the liquidity pools, usually you have some risk increased when you have volatility because of the impermanent loss. But in this case, there's going to be a mechanism where you can actually, get the arbitrage between that. And because XRP is so fast, the amount of rewards are going to be much packed in, much quicker, much more than what we see on some of these other, like a sushi swap, for example. And we don't have those high fees either. And so with the built-in DEX, the XRP ledger is really well suited to do this. And like David has said, it has him more excited than anything for a very long time. So he's looking forward to this. I'm curious if we're going to see, are we going to see a digital ID put in with it so that it's KYC? And if it is, will the institutional investors then pile in? There's just so much still we don't know, but the thing for sure is that it's going to add a little bit of liquidity to the market, which is a good thing. But it's going to earn passive yield, and it's real yield. We're talking real yield here. So yes, be mindful that there is still some risk. It's not going to be 100% free, but he has designed the mechanism, or with the team, and he's overseeing, to mitigate that risk with a mechanism that allows you to participate in that volatility. I'm so excited, really excited.
Me too, Ari, and I'd love to read just a use case reference here from an article that's put out online. It said, I was interested in trading some of my XRP, so I decided to use the automatic market maker to buy and sell assets quickly and efficiently. The automated market maker used smart contracts to execute trades on the current market supply and demand, and I was able to complete my transactions without having to go through a centralized exchange. So you're basically talking about earning yield without needing a third party, which is something that could absolutely fuel this market. But we only have a couple of minutes left here, so we have to talk about the ruling that came this week and how the SEC has responded. Ari, I do have some questions prepared. With them saying that they're now looking to appeal, what do you take from that statement?
I've been paying attention, of course, like everyone has, and assuming every position out there. I think we're in the negotiation stage right now, so what's being said is also a little bit of marksmanship and a little bit of gaming, trying to position like any good negotiator would do. And so if the SEC really did signal is really what they've done, and for I think you can't really see everything as just black and white right now with what is being said by both camps, because there's still a chance for a portion of this to be settled, and so you don't want to give away your position. I think that it's I still think that Ripple is on the right side of history, and they had a fabulous team to fight for them. If you noticed, their attorney, Saraceni, just won the Litigator of the Week with his work that he did. And I feel confident that team is going to make all the right moves. And I just think of course we can speculate and we can guess that it's what everyone is thinking, but we don't really know yet. So I think it's just we're still in another wait and see mode.
Johnny, and I know you have some insight after our interview with Jeremy Hogan this weekend. I just wanted to remind our listeners, we are giving away a 90-day free trial to Merlin, and I believe you just have to retweet this space and follow the Merlin Twitter account, and we're going to pick one of our listeners here and give you a 90-day free trial. But Johnny, the floor is yours.
That's right, Abs. All they got to do is follow Merlin. But you know what? Follow Crypto Area too, and all the other speakers, guys. Wonderful information here. Crypto Area, so good to have you on the show, and thank you so much for making time for us tonight. Hopefully you're doing well. I just want to say konnichiwa. But yeah, Abs, what was very interesting and eye-opening for me when we talked to Jeremy Hogan this week was that, I think a lot of people felt like, okay, the case is over, this ruling of it, and that they only had 20 days to file what do you call it? Geez, I'm losing the word. You just asked me. I'm losing the word.
An appeal?
Yes, thank you, an appeal. So, and the thing is, so everybody's saying, oh, yeah, 20 days and we're going to know. And the reality is, no, we're not going to know. The two things that we just learned this week was one, the SEC or whoever, either losing party, doesn't have 20 days, but you have 60 days to actually file an appeal. So you're not going to know for 60 days. And number two, they're most likely not going to appeal right now because this case is nowhere near over. So everybody thinks it's over, right? But it's not, because there's another element to this case, and it's the personal aiding and abetting portion that both Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson are being sued for. So that really is the whole case in its entirety. As Jeremy told us, we have to really wait for the end of that. And when that comes, then you're going to see the appeals happen if they're going to happen, most likely. So you could appeal now. He called it, I forgot the name of the word he called it, introductory. He called it some kind of appeal, but he didn't. He said there's a very, very low probability that that's going to happen. And that if appeal does happen, it'll happen at the end of the trial. And so we could still be 6 months, 9 months away until this thing is done. Or, as we all saw last week, the judge did ask both parties to sit down and come together for a settlement. Now, that doesn't mean there's going to be a settlement, because the minute that happened, I saw stuff on Twitter like, oh, there's going to be a settlement. No, that's not what happened. The way it works is the judge always, it's typical cases, Abs, like this, to ask the parties to come together and see if they can come to a settlement now that she's made some kind of, ruling or clarity. So we'll hope that the two sides come together, and if they come to a settlement quickly, then maybe there is no appeal, or maybe there's an appeal on some portion of it, but we can get to that appeal quicker if it's going to happen. The sooner this case comes to an end. So a lot of open things happening. We have to wait to see how this thing goes. But yeah, it was wonderful. Hogan, he shared a ton of information with us, and that was a big learning for me, Abs, and I think our community as well.
Erie, two quick follow-up questions. Number one, how would you rank Johnny Crypto's Japanese? But number two, what do you think about the ruling in and of itself? What is the likelihood of an appeal from your perspective?
Yeah, his Japanese was perfect, by the way. Konnichiwa. Actually, it's Ohio gozaimasu because it's still for noon, so it's still a good morning. I think that the appeal is likely, but because they don't have anything to lose now, right? I mean, if they don't appeal, they have everything to lose in regards to being able to be relevant with exchanges, because this really takes a huge amount of their play out of play without being able, no SEC, as Stu Alderati said yesterday in a tweet, if they are not part of regulating the exchanges, if there's no security, well, then there's no SEC. So they really, really want to be relevant and be a part of the exchanges going forward. And so this really takes them out of play. And I see it as they have a lot more to lose if they don't appeal. So that's why I would think that, just in common sense, that they would appeal. But we don't know that. We don't know. They, like everybody is talking, it could go in probably 3 or 4 various ways.
I'd love to read a quick quote from the article that I'm reading right now. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission said, respectfully, those portions of the Ripple were wrongfully decided, and this court should not follow them. This is in reference to the Do Kwon lawsuit with Terraforms. The SEC staff is considering the various available avenues for further review and intends to recommend that the SEC seek such a review. That's a very clever way of saying that they disagree and they're going to appeal. Johnny Crypto, I want some thoughts, and then I got a closing question for Ari.
Well, it's very interesting. When we talked to Jeremy, his perspective was that he's in the minority where he doesn't think they will appeal. And the reason why he said that is because, remember this, Abs, right now, ruling is just sitting at basically a federal judge's desk, okay, or circuit. Now, that holds some weight, but very little weight. But if it goes to an appellate court and it gets upheld, then the SEC is screwed. That's like literally taking their wings and clipping them right off. He said, because the appellate court, that literally makes it rule for then all the other appellate and federal districts. So it's a very, very risky thing for the SEC. And the question is, do they want to roll the dice on it? That's going to be the question, because the reality is, sitting right here as a federal judge, circuit, Second Circuit, I think, district ruling, that's the minimal strength it has. So the SEC may be better off just leaving it like that rather than challenging at the higher level. And if they lose, like I said, their wings are clipped, and then they have nothing. They will literally have no ability to go after a lot of companies. And again, that's what Jeremy was telling us. So I'm kind of wondering, like, why would they risk it? At the end of the day, they're going to get a big payday. All right, they're probably going to get $400 million, and they've won the first half of the case, which is the way they conducted the issuance of the actual cryptocurrency to institutions. So they do have that leg to go on after people. So it's just going to be very interesting to see how it plays out at the end of the day, Abs. We'll have to wait and see if the SEC is confident that the judge is going to overturn it, because if not, boy, they're setting themselves up to lose all their power, according to Jeremy.
Yeah, I totally agree. So when you are right on, and I've been listening to Jeremy's position, and it's quite compelling when you hear him give his opinion that that's what they'll do. But then also too, I don't know, they just might take a risk because leaving it as it is also not ideal for them. So yeah, let's wait and see.
Yeah, I think you're right, Crypto. They're kind of in this weird conundrum where they lost the part they wanted to win. I don't think they care that. I mean, yeah, they're happy that they won the beginning part about the institutions, but they look kind of silly right now, and they're getting bashed in the media because the SEC is supposed to protect the investor. And what happened here, Abs, based on this ruling, is basically the SEC will be able to protect the institutions, which don't need protection, but based on this ruling, they can't protect individual investors, retail investors. So this ruling is kind of backwards. And so for that reason, I kind of agree with Crypto that you can see they are going to look at this strong, heavily, and they're going to appeal it if they think they can win it. No doubt about it, because they are not happy with this outcome.
And one closing question for you. It's always fun to speculate on the XRP price, but what I think is more important right now is, when are we going to see institutions adopt? What country do you think is going to take the first step forward when it comes to adoption? Let's stay focused on XRP.
Well, you're talking about that hasn't taken a step forward, because Singapore is already doing a really good job at utilizing the digital asset as a financial instrument. So, and I think Japan already has also. And so, which country then would be the first to move out and previously moved? Maybe the UK. Probably the UK.
And what draws you to that conclusion? Because obviously we saw earlier this week that Ripple filed for I can't remember if it was a money license or something along those lines in the UK. So it's interesting that you chose that location.
Yeah, and also Dubai is very, very friendly too, and Hong Kong. Those three are actually competing to be the crypto hub right now. London, Dubai, and Singapore. And so why do I think London? Well, they had the MiCA clarity that came through that's really helpful. But also, too, we've got the VARA, I think it's called, in Dubai, that is also equally as the clarity has been brought forth and is clear. And Singapore is way, way there. They've been there for a long time. MAS, which is the Monetary Authority of Singapore, has really been the leader. And so now they're being challenged with Hong Kong and Dubai wanting to have that position. It's really healthy for the ecosystem to have this vying to be the crypto hub, because it just means it's going to be that much clearer and that much more advantageous and beneficial for the retail and the institutional investors. So get down to it. What do I really think? I think if I had to choose between, like, Singapore has been the leader for the last 2 years. I think Dubai is going to take it away in terms of leading. I think Dubai is going to take it. I think Dubai is going to be the hub. And it doesn't mean the United States can't get that position in the future, but I think Dubai is going to be the leading country, and for its case and everything for the next probably year or two.
Thank you, Ari. And we are going to open this up for a Q&A, but I know you have to run. So I just want to say thank you, and I'd like to give you a chance to say goodbye.
Yeah, thank you so much. We've got a big surprise for you, Moonchaser and I, for the community. And it's we're making it happen with this WebEx that's going to be, it kicks off today on the backside, and it's going to be really fun. So I can't wait to bring you that. I'll probably be up all night, get done. And tomorrow I fly out to the UK to join the BPM wallet MVP launch. Jeremy Hogan's going to be there, James Rule, XRP, King Solomon, Oh gosh. So I think I can't say yet. There's some people who haven't. They're still going to be announced that are going to be there. So we're going to have a fantastic time, but we'll have a big surprise coming out for the XRP community, hopefully tonight or tomorrow. And then I think there's going to be a lot of announcements that come out of that MVP in London. And so, yeah, I look to it. Thank you so much for me. I'm sorry. I am so short on time. I got to be somewhere in 2 hours, and I still just need to get situated. Thank you so much.
Well, Crypto Harry, thank you much for joining us today. We'd love to have you back again another time when you have some more time. We just want to say thank you so much for participating.
Thank you so much, Ari. And I know that we can't say what's going on, but I wish you the best of luck, and I know you're going to do amazing. So with that being said, Jeremy, I'm going to give you the floor. Thank you so much, Ari.
Bye-bye.
If everyone can show some hearts and claps for Crypto Airy, and again, Crypto Airy can be found on Twitter at Sento Sumo Saba. That's SENTO Sumo SUMO Saba, and on YouTube at Crypto Air. I'm sorry, or you can search for her on Crypto Airy, and it's at it looks like Airy Chan in Tokyo. So make sure that you follow and give some love to our amazing guest and friend Crypto Airy. And before we open it up, I know that there's some people that have already requested to speak. Before we open it up, I just want to let everybody know that we are giving away 90 days free of Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto, in 2 capacities. The first capacity is here tonight. Make sure that you follow us on Twitter and share this space with all of your followers, and then just go ahead and send me a comment saying that you did the follow and the send, and that will get you in for the drawing at the end here tonight. And then the second way is if you can follow us on Threads. The Node Defender has been kind enough to throw up our Threads link. It's threads.net/@Merlin_crypto. Our goal is to get as close to our customers as possible and create engaging and meaningful conversations around the blockchain and crypto space. So let's go ahead and open it up for questions. Again, we love debate on our spaces, but please keep it family friendly, as these will all be podcasts. And 2, please be respectful. We want these to be an inclusive atmosphere. And last, a disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities, including Merlin, that they represent. So if you would like to come up and speak and share your thoughts and ask questions, please go ahead and ask to speak, and we will get you up here. So Abs, I will kick it back over to you, and I will start bringing people up.
Awesome, guys. So now we pretty much just go into a Q&A, and we can take this any direction you guys would like. The Federal Reserve also announced Fed Now went live this week, so I'm feeling like addressing that as well. But I see we got one person up here. Stay curious. We can start there. Also, let's start off with Gonzo and Mario. Is there anything that's on your mind before we hear from everyone else?
Hey, this is Stay Curious. Never done one of these before. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Thank you. Quick question. Did anybody notice that Rosie Rios is on the board of governors for Fidelity Charitable? And do you think that she is talking to Fidelity Investments about XRP and what that might mean? Thank you.
Johnny Crypto, I'm going to kick to you.
I know that Rosie's been on a number of different boards, and we know that she's also part of the Ripple team. So it would not surprise me at all if she isn't sitting there. I don't have any inside information, but just thinking from a common sense perspective, and I'm curious to kick it around the rest of the room to Gonzo and Mario or anybody else, but it would make sense to me that, yeah, she's on those boards. Listen, I say it all the time. This isn't about what you know, it's who you know. And having those conversations, you have those connections. And when you have the connection, you can have the conversations. So who knows behind the scenes what she's saying, but I'm sure she's talking about Ripple's technology and what's possible and what can be had. So it wouldn't be surprising to me. I think that's a great question, by the way. Thank you for bringing that question up. I would certainly think, to take a guess that, yeah, she's having those conversations with people behind the scenes.
And I don't have any additional insight into that specific connection between Fidelity and Rosie Rios, but what I do know is that Ripple is constantly connected to those types of companies. JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America. I don't think it'd be a stretch at all to say that they're also communicating with Fidelity. So, yeah, in a lot of ways I do agree, but I don't have any specific insight there. Hopefully that is
real quick, Abs, just as a reminder, once you have gone ahead and followed us on Twitter and shared this space out to your Twitter family, just put done in the comments. So far, we only have one, so it's looking pretty good for that individual. So go ahead and get part of the part of this giveaway at the end of the space. Back over to you, Abs.
Thank you, guys. Now, Johnny Crypto, I just want to get an open conversation going. We don't have too many people coming up here and asking questions. So let's actually just go through some relevant facts and we can discuss what's really going on. Last week, FedNow launched their product, which is the FedNow payment system. And everyone's drawing the conclusion this is one step away from a CBDC. After doing a little bit of studying, I went through their white paper and the website that they updated. The biggest thing I can take away from this is it has a lot of similarities with crypto. I don't think they're using cryptocurrencies like XRP or XLM. There's no apps for it, even though we constantly talk about the connections here. But what I do think is that right now, the Federal Reserve is upgrading their system to incorporate those products in the future. And this was one major step in that direction. So with that being said, do you think it's a reach that the Federal Reserve updating fiat payments is something bad for the industry? Because there's been a lot of reactions like people can't believe the Federal Reserve is making this step, Johnny.
Well, it's kind of weird because I don't think people understand the full degree of what's happening here. And Coach talked about it. I wish Coach was around. We'll have to get him on one of these days because he talked about kind of what's really happening here. And he called it RTB. I forgot what the B stood for. It's real-time something banking, maybe, but there was something there in terms of this is just the bank kind of coming out of the 1980s and 90s and moving into the 2010s. Not even 2020 or 2030. It's just getting where now payment settlement solutions will be happening faster and quicker in the background. So,
RTP, real-time payment. RTP?
RTP, yeah, that's what it was. Real-time payments. And so basically what happens here is people don't realize how things work because they don't care. Just like right now, you don't care and I don't care how our phones are allowing us to talk to each other. It just has to happen, right? So what happens is when I send you money on Venmo or Cash App or any other, anywhere, to be honest with you, any kind of system, the money, in these newer apps like Venmo and Cash App, it'll show like it's there instantly, right? But it's really not. The money isn't there from the bank's perspective behind the scenes. There's settlement things that have to happen. So a lot of it's based on more like the banking trust system that they have. I send you $100, you get the $100 in your app, but the bank, from my bank to your bank, they're your bank will hold 100 aside, my bank has to send it, and that whole settlement process between the two banks, from my 100 to actually get to your bank's 100, or my bank to send my 100 from my bank to your bank, that's like a 2 or 3 day. And Jeremy probably did speak. He worked in the banking space, but it takes like 2 to 3 days. And what RTP, real-time payments do is try to reduce that whole process of that 2 to 3 day settlement gets shrunken down. Okay. Now, the reason why everybody, my guess, is tying it to crypto and XRP per se is because if you think about what XRP does, it provides this liquidity solution that allows these transfers to happen from my bank to your bank, or from one place to another. I should just say more of a transaction from one transaction to another within seconds. And so that's where people are making or drawing the conclusion, I think, to say, oh, hey, yeah, this is what Ripple does. And so yes, that's kind of what Ripple does. And could Ripple be used to do this, or their technology? Potentially. I don't know enough about the banking system to know exactly, but yes, that coupled with other elements, the ODL probably could do that. And so, Abs, I think that's why you're hearing a lot of people saying that, Ripple is powering the Fed now. And the reality is that's the farthest thing from the truth. The Fed now is not using crypto to do these RTP payments. It's just a different mechanism they're using right now. Now, that doesn't mean in the future they couldn't, but that's where I think a lot of confusion. So I hope that provides some clarity.
I think two of the complaints people have with the banking system today is, number one, it closes on the weekend. And number two, it takes 3 to 4 days to process transactions. FedNow addresses both of those issues without using cryptocurrency. And that's why I think this news is so important. Johnny, I just want to get some closing remarks, and then we'll kick it to our banking expert, Jeremy.
Well, because if you think about what you just said, so important. It's two things, right? The banks close on the weekend. That's archaic. I mean, cryptocurrency. I can send you cryptocurrency right now, Sunday at 9:30 at night, and it will be there in 13 seconds, right? And I'm exaggerating. So the fact that the banking system can't be open in 2023 makes zero sense. But what I really see this happening is this is the transition, right? So this is like the step moving us closer and closer into the direction of being able to now. So I don't know exactly what system they're using in the background to make that happen. But I'm wondering, can it be as efficient as a blockchain technology? Probably not. And the blockchain technology can be something that allows the next level, leveling up. Whenever you launch a technology app, the first version is always the worst, right? I say it all the time about Merlin when we launch it. It's going to be our worst version because it's version 1.0, just like anything. The first Apple software, iOS. Why do you think they're on, 15, 16, 17? Because the first one was terrible. It just it's just like that. And you're going to see, I think, over time, the FedNow system upgrading over time. And then eventually, I think in one version, you'll probably see it shift over to blockchain.
Jeremy, I want to get some thoughts from you as well before we move on. You worked in the banking system for a long time, and I want to get to like a reality check when it comes to payments. Is the system as fractured as people make it out to be? Just broadly.
So as far as the money movement going, the system is pretty fractured, just for the mere fact that you have a settling system that is not in real time. And so, for example, when you would batch like on a Saturday, and a batch means like close out the transactions that you had at the bank, like on the teller line or whatever the case is, that those transactions, if it was after a certain point on Saturday, it was like you were running on Monday's date. So those transactions wouldn't clear until that Tuesday. So even though it was a 24 day clearing time, the bank system right now doesn't recognize that Sunday's a day. So that Monday would be the first day. So if you did something on Saturday, your funds wouldn't be available till Tuesday. So that mere fact alone is that it's not in a real time. That's the first problem. The second problem is, even if you're doing if you're doing a wire where that money has to travel across the wire for international purposes, you could still be looking at a 7 to 10 day time. And each of the governments that's on both sides of that wire transaction have to have a say in what's going on with that transaction and has to feel comfortable with it. And what I mean by that is, let's say I'm sending an international wire to Canada, and I send that international wire to Canada, but the receiving bank thinks that something's wrong with it based off of whatever policies and procedures they have that are put in place from their government and from their bank. That transaction could actually I've seen it take 45 days to actually settle based on whatever that information is that the receiving bank needs to get from the business and the individual that's on the sending side of that transaction. So we have a really big problem with the time transaction of money. And so if we were to look at FedNow, so FedNow, it solves a little bit of that problem with that money being able to be sent. So it helps with some like closer to real-time payments, one. And then the second thing that it does is the thing that exists that's like FedNow is Zelle. But the problem with Zelle, at least in the government's eyes, and I'm not trying to get political, either one side or the other side, is that the problem with the Zelle is Zelle's owned by the biggest banks. So essentially they can create a monopoly that exists from the payment transactions of Zelle. Like, I think JP Morgan teamed up with Wells Fargo and another bank and like some other banks, and they created Zelle. And so when the government released their information, this was back in the mid 10s, I guess you would call it now, with trying to create the FedNow system, it was to be able to provide that as a free service for community banks to have those same types of real-time transactions so that they could compete with the larger banks. So from the government's eyes, the idea behind it is for them to be able to compete against something like Zelle. And so these other smaller banks don't have to be, I guess, signing up for Zelle and utilizing whatever payment those banks wanted for their creation of their private transferring of payment system, right? And so now back to what Johnny was saying, does blockchain help make that better? Well, hands down, the most interesting thing, and as it relates to blockchain, is how things are recognized on a ledger. That is the most important thing, in my opinion, as it relates to blockchain, because it's not the actual movement of money, it's the changing of the address. And because of that, the blockchain technology will do much better for real-time payments in the banking system. So it does not make any, at least in my mind, again, it's my opinion, it does not make any sense for governments and banks or anybody to not at least try to move to using blockchain technology. Now, where you want to go with that, on where it came from, why it's coming out, what it's doing, that is all for everybody to speculate and have conversation on. But there is no reason why blockchain technology shouldn't be the technology that the financial infrastructure is built on, just because of the way that it recognizes the ledger, and that's what makes it much more, I guess, fast. So back over to you, Ebs.
Thanks, Jeremy. That was
faster, awesome. I guess. I said much more faster.
So 99 out of 100 there, Jeremy. 99 out of 100. I'm just kidding. But guys, I do want to remind everyone we are giving away a 90-day free trial for the Merlin application. All you have to do, retweet this Spaces and follow the Twitter account for an opportunity to win. And Johnny Crypto, I want to read one more quote here before we move on from FedNow. Earlier this week, Coinbase Protocols lead Jason Pollock predicted that everyone on Earth will be introduced by crypto by 2030. And the reason for that is upgrades like we're experiencing now with FedNow. If the banking system shifts, everyone's going to be affected, and I think we're just waiting for that day. So close this out here. What's it mean to you?
You know, that was huge news. I think I tweeted that out too. By 2030, everybody on Earth, he says, will be exposed. And I think there's some truth to that. You know, just like the internet. You know, if you told everybody back in 1997 that everybody and their mother was going to be using that and a cell phone, and nobody would have believed you. You know, they was like, yeah, you're crazy. And nobody's going to believe us right now that by 2030, you know, almost everybody on the planet will know about blockchain. But it will. And it'll be some it'll be in different forms. Some will be about cryptocurrency. Some will be about technologies in the background that are operating. But I truly believe we're moving into that space. It's going to be a huge, huge milestone. And milestone. And speaking of milestones, Abs, I do want to mention. Really haven't had a chance to touch on it yet. But we have a huge, huge milestone this week in Merlin as we're going to be launching it with semi-public to select people in the 3T Academy. So we're really, really excited about that, Abs. This will be the first time that the public will get to use Merlin outside of our internal test team. So we're really excited about that. And because of that, we are given, as you mentioned, a free giveaway, guys. So just go ahead and, as Abs said, just share this tweet and let Jeremy know you've done that. And you'll be able to get registered in a sweepstakes to win one free seat for a 90-day trial of Merlin. So we're excited about it. Abs. Big, big milestone for us this week, and we're looking forward to it.
I see we got Mario and Gonzo up here. Mario, I'd love to give you a chance to tune in. What are you thinking about the FendOut upgrade and options we made?
Yeah, as Jeremy was talking, I think he explained it spot on. I do want to add as well that the banks, they're part of a bigger system, and that bigger system has to undergo all these upgrades. Now, blockchain makes total sense. The way that blockchain is able to solve so many of the issues that the current financial system has, it makes total sense that they would go along that route. Now, obviously, they're not good. In my opinion, I don't think it's going to be in the form of a public blockchain. I think it's going to stay more along the lines of a private blockchain. But nonetheless, this is also something that has to undergo many tests before they can even start to roll it out. I mean, as Johnny Crypto can attest, as we've been hard working on Merlin, we've come to a lot of things that along the way that have been given us some setbacks. And so think about the system that is live, that is currently transitioning the money that it transitions, for them to just flip the switch out of nowhere. I'm sure they have to do it systematically. And I have no doubt that the blockchain can certainly help them with that, especially because of the transactions, because of the way that the transactions can be instantly verified as well. Senders and receivers can be verified on the blockchain, and that's going to make it a lot faster, a lot easier for the infrastructure. So I think it's good, and we're starting to see a shift with Fed now, and hopefully we're going that direction, and hopefully we start to get some more, a better financial system overall. It would be good for me to be able to send money to Europe and for it to get there, in a matter of seconds, as opposed to having to wait days. And we know that it might get there in a day or two, but in reality, it's taking a really long time for it to settle on the back end. So yeah, it's super bullish for the for the future of blockchain and the impact that it could potentially have in our financial system.
Absolutely, Mario and Gonzo. I'm excited to have you back this week. I don't know if you're going to be on the show on Monday or Tuesday, but I'm looking forward to it. One of the things we discussed last week is how real estate is going to flourish when it comes to tokenization, expecting to reach $5 trillion in tokenized real estate by 2027. And this is an article referenced by Ripple. So let's talk a little bit about tokenization. Obviously, you're the Ethereum guy in this group. What do you think about tokenization happening on the XRPL? And that's a joke for our listeners.
Yeah. Actually, I'll be there on Tuesday, but yeah, I mean, I think it's huge. I had made a comment before. There was a historian that I was listening to that was talking to that got into blockchain, and he made this really compelling case where he talked about the Renaissance, and what sparked the Renaissance was the conversion of two technologies. It was one, the printing press, where you could have kind of like a decentralized communication, and then you had what was an accounting technology thing, which was a double entry like ledger accounting, right? And that those two technologies combined is what sparked the Renaissance. And so he's kind of correlated that to what we're seeing now. We had the internet and how that's developed in communication, and now we're seeing blockchain and then how that's transforming finance or the speed of money. So we're going to see all kinds of different things, and one of them is the tokenization of assets, right? I think we're going to live in a multi-chain world. I think there are going to be some chains that are going to be specific to like what governments want for ID or documents. You're going to have some that are really good, like maybe for XRP or XRPL for tokenization or for just payments. You're going to have some blockchains that are very specific for gaming and NFTs. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to end up with a handful of different protocols, but they're all going to be a very specific niche. And so I think it's just important to keep an open mind. And when we talk about like not being tribal and keeping an open mind, because we don't know at the end of the day which one of these is going to be there at the end, right? Is it going to be Ethereum, right? They're going to get that the proto-burning rate that's going to be coming soon. We'll see if that fixes the gas fees, or does it end up being something more like the XRPL? But like Johnny likes to say, you got to have multiple horses in the race, and then we'll see what plays out at the end.
Gonzo, lucky enough, we work with the Wizards, so I'm going to ask the Merlin host to check his crystal ball here, tell us what's going to happen by 2027. But the reason this is important for Ripple and XRP holders out there, Johnny, is because Ripple is the only company selected by Hong Kong's to actually build digital real estate for their central bank digital currency pilot. And I'm just giving you the open floor there. With all of that news happening in China, what do you think? How long until we see real impact?
Oof. I mean, people don't like to hear this, but technology development takes time. I mean, look at Flare, look at Merlin, look at anything. Development takes time. Implementation takes time. Testing takes time. You're probably several years away before, you really see true, per your question, implementation or real true use functionality. Implementation will happen earlier because it has to before you get functionality. But, if I had to guess, you're several years away from seeing any of this stuff really out there working efficiently. Would be out there and in tests and trials, yeah, you'll hear about those things. But if you're talking about full-blown, implementation, I think we're still several years away before you get enough mass adoption behind any of these technologies that are out there. What you're seeing, though, is, especially now with the monkey off Ripple's back, you're going to start to see. Here's what's the danger with this time frame now. Because we're all early and we're all invested in these different technologies, the minute we get a piece of news that says anything positive about the technology we're in, you kind of like humanly just multiply that factor by 1,000%. Like, oh my God, they're talking about my technology adoption. This is great. And the reality is no. There's going to be a lot of, trial testing, things like that of these technologies. And then they're going to walk away from a lot of these things. We do it all the time. I'm in the technology space. We'll play with 5, 6, 7 different technologies. And maybe we pick one. Sometimes we don't pick any. So that's just something I would caution people of. Is don't get too excited just because you read a news article that there's a partnership happening, there's a trial happening. Get excited when you don't hear about it or they don't talk about it, but you hear from somebody or friend that says, oh, hey, guess what? We just adopted or we just instilled a Ripple system in our banking or in our space. That's when you get excited. When you've got friends behind the scenes that know what's going on inside, because a lot of times companies don't talk about what they're doing as they're usually under NDA.
Johnny, you know what? It reminds me of the MoneyGram patent that we went through on Good Morning Crypto that day. And for anybody who doesn't know, Johnny's got 25 years in the technology industry. So if he knows about stealing other people's information, this is the guy to ask. And we like to keep it comedy on these Sunday nights as a complete joke. But I did just want to get back to this MoneyGram reference that we were talking about, Johnny. On the MoneyGram patent that they were using XRP for, you broke it down in a way I'd never heard before. So just explain that, and then I got to follow up.
Well, basically, so the way to think about patents is everybody's been the same thing. The minute they see a technology mentioned in the patent, like, oh my God, they're using our technology. No. That's not how it works. A patent, when we write up patents, we are writing them up to talk about our technology, what it does. You also write about what's currently in the space, what's it doing. You give examples of things that are either happening in the space that aren't currently solving the problem properly, right? And that's where you may see references of some technologies and you may hear names of companies. You also talk about solutions that you're working on and something that may be similar. That's where you can also see references about the technologies, so you just have to take all that stuff again with a grain of salt and to really read through the patent and see exactly, because typically a patent isn't going to say, hey, we're designing in Ripple's technology. No, Ripple's technology, if they have a patent on it, that's their patent. If I design something or I create something and I incorporate their technology into something, that's probably not going to be I'm probably not going to, like, that's just because I mentioned their name in a patent doesn't mean I'm putting them in my technology, is what I'm trying to say, right? We may be using them or we may not, but just because I mentioned in my patent, again, it's just a grain of salt here. Don't assume that means that company is going to be working with them as partnership, because most likely they were just used as a reference. So that's just, again, another way to think about it. And again, I'm not saying that that's not the case, that they're not working together, but I'm just saying the patent alone is not the one thing to look at it and hang your hat on and say, oh, yeah, it's in the patent, they're partners. No, that's not the way to think about it.
And I just want to remind our listeners, if you'd love to come up and ask a question, just put your hand up and we'll get this thing going. We open this up for a Q&A at the end of these discussions. But one of the things that I'm addressing right now, where I'm thinking about, as you're talking about tokenization, you're talking about people using patents, is the Cypherium protocol that was used on the Federal Reserve's patent. We have an update for them as well. So I know a lot of people who hold XRP have probably heard of Cypherium. I believe it was on Kevin Cage and a couple other channels. Well, as I was doing a little bit of research and going through FedNow's updated website for their protocols, they've removed that blockchain from their partnerships. That's a primary example of what Johnny's talking about, right? They were using Cypherium, testing it for small transactions, but never planned on using it for real-world adoption. And here we are. A lot of people got fooled because they saw a patent and they made the assumption. So, Johnny, close us out here. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you nailed it perfectly, Abs. That's exactly what I'm saying. And listen, there's nothing wrong with hopping on session when you see those kinds of things because, again, I always say that, say this all the time. You want to have a few horses in the race. You don't know, none of us in this spaces or anywhere in this industry know who's going to win this race. Okay. And it's not going to be one winner anyway. I've never felt it would be. It's going to be a series of different technologies that are going to come together, that are going to kind of drive the next evolution of Web 3.0. And there's going to be many winners. It ain't going to be just one. There's going to be many winners out there. And that's why I'm excited about the space in general. And you want to look for technologies that you think will have a real world use case and solve, or will put themselves in a position to win and have partnerships and things like that. Important. But don't hang your hat on because you read on some website somewhere that there's one partnership. That's not going to be good enough, Abs. And the Cypherium one was perfect example. People hopped into it, and then we saw that the relationship fell apart. They decided not to work with them, and that's okay. I mean, that's just how these things work. And so just continue to use that as examples to understand what's happening, and don't get sunk, sold on the fact that you read it or saw it in one place, and that means now it's cemented.
Johnny, and I'd just like to talk about Merlin for a little bit here. Underneath one of our videos, somebody actually asked, what is an exit plan? That's what Merlin focuses on. So just break that down. What are some of the biggest benefits to using your app?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. By the way, guys, these spaces are for you guys. We really want you to come up and ask questions. So if you're sitting there and you're listening right now and you're on the fence, like, come on, should I come on? Not come on. Am I shy? Am I not shy? Don't worry. Come on up. Just raise your hand. Jeremy will bring you up. We'd love to talk to you. And you don't even have to have a question. You might just have a comment, but we'd love to hear from you guys. But to answer the question of what is an exit plan, so Abs, when we developed Merlin, when I came into this space, what I found was a big problem is I had a bunch of crypto. I bought it on a bunch of different exchanges all over the freaking place. And I had no clue what the hell my account was doing. And so I'm an engineer, right? So what do? I create a spreadsheet. I was like, okay, this kind of works. I can see everything now. But then I realized pretty quickly, like, damn, this sucks. I have to update every single price of every coin I own every single day. And that's just for have a daily understanding of my account. If I want to have a minute by minute, then I got to update every minute, and that's just not practical. I was like, you know what? I need a freaking. And so it's just funny. Mario and I were working on an app in the 3T Academy, and not an app, sorry, a spreadsheet to do this. And I'm like, you know what? The only way to do this is through an app. And lo and behold, here we are 2 years later, and the app is coming out this week for the 3T War Academy, and then soon thereafter we'll launch it to everybody on the wait list. Guys, if you're not on the wait list, you better get on now because that's going to be the next group that's going to get access. So long story short, we created an app that allows you to track all your portfolio in one place. And you're going to say, Johnny, they're already out there. You're absolutely right. They are. And I use them. And guess what? They were telling me my account was $1 million, $2 million. I'm like, wow, my account's nowhere near that. Apps, I got that kind of money, So the apps they weren't working. They had bugs in them or things in them that I couldn't correct, so I couldn't fix my account. So I said, you know what? I'm going to fix that. And so we fixed those problems. We gave a bunch of tools in Merlin to be able to edit your coin and get your account. No app is perfect. And Merlin's not going to be perfect either, but we're going to be pretty damn close. And we've given you the tools to make your account pretty perfect. So that was a long story of what Merlin is. I haven't even addressed what the exit plan is yet, Apps, because I just kind of wanted to set the ground of what Merlin is and what it does. And I said a lot, so maybe I should stop there and just see if anybody has any questions.
I see Gonzo has his hand up as well. So Gonzo, floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm just going to share a story about the exit strategy. While we were beta testing, basically, I got into a position of Solana at it was like somewhere between $14 and $16. And just to, set different alerts, I had set it to, I'll set it to $30. And to have it alert me because I'll pull profits because I doubled my money. And I thought it was going to take a minute, right? And literally, I'd done it maybe 48 hours earlier. And I was in the middle of one of our Zoom calls Jackie and I do, and literally started getting alerts from Merlin that our price point had hit. I hadn't been paying attention to the charts, and all of a sudden, Solana had hit $30. And actually, by the time I got off the call and was able to sell, it was actually $2. So I think I got it just under $32. But that's a perfect example of the exit strategy and how it works, where you just set these price points and you forget about it. And then all of a sudden I get an alert saying, okay, your price point's about to hit. And I was able to go to the exchange and sell and just execute my sell order.
Yeah, Johnny, and I really think that's what Merlin's all about, right? Making the process as simple as possible. And I think for people who don't understand what it is, take all your executions, all your exit strategies, you put them in one location, and that's our application. But on top of it all, we don't custody your crypto. There's no risk in putting your information into our website because we're not holding your assets. But Johnny, I do just want you to break an exit plan, and then we'll close it out here.
Yeah, Abs, you nailed it perfectly, man. So We don't custody your coins. We don't hold them. We don't want them. We have no desire for that. We just display. That's all we do. What we do is we allow out the gate, we'll have about 10 or so exchanges and wallets in total, pretty much all the big ones that you know of, where you can automatically sync your account by putting your API keys into Merlin. And we don't custody keys. We don't hold them. It just gives us permission to be able to show your account. And that's the only access we have is to read. We can't write. We can't sell. And the reason why you know that is because you're going to set the key to say you can't read. And all you do is read. But anyway, so the cool thing is once you're connected to Merlin will track your account. It'll track any moves you make in those exchanges that you have synced to it. And then it basically...
Johnny, really quickly, it sounds like you're 5 feet below water. Can you move closer to the microphone?
Yeah. Did you fall into the lake, sir?
Let me leave and come back.
All right, so while we're waiting for Mr. Johnny Crypto to come back up, it looks like he's connecting back in. Just to let you know, we're going to have Johnny finish out some of the question or answer a little bit more about the exit strategy piece. We have 4 people that have put done in the chat. Those are the 4 people that will go into our raffle. So you only have about a few more minutes to, if you're following us on Twitter, all you got to do is just share this space out and throw done in the comments in this Twitter Spaces, and that will get you into the raffle, or the dice roll, as I like to call it, that we will do here momentarily as soon as Johnny finishes up some of the shots. So I'll kick it back over to you, Abs.
Yeah, so can you guys hear me now or no?
Yes, perfect, Johnny.
Yes, so the answer to Jimmy's question, no, I did not fall into the lake, although I did promise everybody I'd do a cannonball into it if Ripple won the case. So, Abs, I think maybe this week, guys, if you want to see that, you're going to have to tune into GMC one day this week to see the cannonball. But anyway.
Johnny, you know what? After I just got a quick follow-up here. I actually had somebody ask me about the cannonball. They weren't satisfied. They said it should be a backflip from Johnny Crypto off the dock. So can we make that happen?
Yeah, if you guys want to see me get injured and not on the show for a couple months, I guess I can maybe try a backflip. But no, I'm not that flexible, Abs. I think I'm just going to leave it as a simple cannonball. But I don't know. Where did I start going monkey? How far were you able to hear of the conversation of the exit plan before I hopped into it?
Jeremy, can you remind me? I couldn't remember.
Well, it's okay. I'll just...
We started going into the water right around explaining the exit strategy. So let's just start what the exit strategy is, Johnny. We can go from there.
Okay. So basically...
It was more along the lines of you following up with what Gonzo had said and what Gabs had iterated about Maple to set up the exit strategy.
Yeah, so that's what we were trying to do. So here's what happened. Here's the beautiful thing of Merlin. What we realized, and especially in the 3T Academy with Coach, was the most important thing when you're in crypto, anybody who's in crypto knows that crypto moves fast. It moves really fast. And so with that said, Abs, you need to make sure you have an exit plan or you're going to miss out on being able to take profits. And I saw that happen to me with Mana 2 years ago. And thank God Mario sent me a text when Mana was pumping like up to $5, or I would have completely missed it had it not been for him. And so, and Gonzo might have missed Solana had it not been for Merlin a few days ago, right? So what we've created was a tool in Merlin that's going to allow you to go in and set multiple exit targets at price points that you feel you want to exit out of. So you decide what you want. And then when you program that into Merlin, Merlin's going to send you alerts. And what's cool is we don't send them to you right what happens. It's too late. We'll usually send you within 5 to 10% prior to your target getting hit. So you've got some notification like, oh, you know what? We're getting close here. I need to be ready to sell. And so that coupled with all the other tools we put in, it really differentiates ourselves from all the other trackers and puts us in a really, really good, and it puts us in a really good position. And we've also have partnerships, a bunch of partnerships to announce. So we're not going to announce those yet because we're working on them, but we have a bunch of partnerships that we'll be announcing that we're doing something special with influencers in the crypto space as well. That's going to help all their followers when that comes. So that'll be a little further down the road. But yeah, we have a lot of exciting things. But that in a nutshell, the exit strategy tool is really going to help, what I say, put the power back in the hands of the people. So when you know what your portfolio is doing, you can now make good decisions. And rather than watch your bags go all the way up, like we all did in the first board, and come all the way back down, thanks to Merlin, they'll go up, and Merlin's going to tell you when to get the hell out. Now, you still have to execute. That's on, but at least you're being told when to execute, and that's 90% of the battle. So I hope that kind of makes sense and is clear, and I'd love to, if anybody's got any questions, comments, come on up. We'd love to hear you talk. We'd love to hear from you about any of the topics we talked about tonight before we wrap this baby up.
Johnny, I think something else that's important to know as somebody who's been through a bull market is that everything moves quicker in a bull market, but it also disappears just as fast on the back end. And every time we got a pump in 2021, we were celebrating the wins instead of taking money out of the market. And this is a mistake I'm not going to make the next time around. So just speaking for myself here, even with XRP, we went to $1.90, and the vibe in the community was that this was only getting started. Little did we know that was the peak of the market for the next few years. And we're trying to help people avoid that same mistake. So that's really what I'm using Merlin for. You can look at other people's exit strategies and you can incorporate all the other aspects. But when it comes to executing and taking profit in the market, that's what I'm really excited about. And that's a mistake I think everyone should avoid in their first bull run. But Jeremy, I'm going to kick it back to you and let's close this thing out.
Abs, you're going to have an advantage over everybody else if you have Merlin in your pocket. And so everybody else signs up on the wait list.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us to this amazing Merlin Spaces. It was great. And next time when we have this in a few weeks, please, 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 we love to hear from each one of you. So take this time to make fun of Johnny if you'd like, or to Adams, the host of Good Morning Crypto, or to ask me any questions. And I'm just kidding, Johnny. We love you. In the future, we would love to have you guys come up and speak and create debate, but we will continue these to make it inclusive atmosphere for everybody and to educate people on our industry, the cryptocurrency industry and the blockchain industry. So we are going to do the live raffle right now. So this is how it's going to work. If you have ever met me, again, my name is Jeremy. You can find me on all social medias at Age of Jeremy. I love games, and one of those games that I love are tabletop games, specifically the great Dungeons and Dragons. And because of that, I have a bunch of dice. Now, the way that we are going to do this is so far, these are the people that have signed up. There is Brandon Escamilla. There is Tommy Saint-Yo. There is Jaw Light. There is Rat. There is B Marquis, and there is Skidmark. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. So I have in my hand a 6-sided dice, and you are going to be numbered based on your way down. So Brandon, you are going to be number 1. Tommy Saint-Yo, you are going to be number 2. Jaw Light, you are going to be number 3. Rat, you are going to be number 4. B Marquis, you are going to be number 5. And Skidmark, you are going to be number 6. And I am going to roll this 6-sided dice. So I guess it isn't very fascinating because most dice are 6-sided, but this one happens to be 6-sided because there are 6 people signed up for this raffle. I'm going to roll this right now and announce the winner of our 90-day free for Merlin upon launch, which we are getting very, very soon for. So here we go. And it's only going to be one roll. So here we go. All right, I got number 4. So based off of my memory, that was 1, 2, 3, 4. That was Rat at WRRATT. I will be reaching out to you to get some information from you from our Merlin Twitter account. We will need your email so we can get you on our list, and you will be notified of your free trial once we launch. So fantastic, Rat. Congratulations. Everyone give him a round of applause, please. And Abs, do you want to have anything to close out? And I will let you close out, and then I will do my closings.
Yes, I just want to thank for everyone for joining us on these Sunday Spaces. We're going to continue to bring the highest quality guests we can, and I promise you, looking at our guest list going forward, it's going to be worth tuning into these spaces in the future. So thank you to every single person who joined us on this Sunday night. And Johnny Crypto, I'd like to get some closing words from you.
Abs, thank you, and thank you to everybody. You guys are wonderful, Jeremy. Abs, you guys are tremendous hosts and moderators, and for everybody out there, guys, I hope you found this helpful. And to Mario, Gonzo, Crypto Erie, and everybody else who came up to speak, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We love you guys, and we look forward to soon you being able to use Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto.
All right, everyone. Again, tonight was our 4th Merlin Market Update with your host, Abs. Abs is Merlin Senior Engagement Specialist. You can see Abs every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern on the Good Morning Crypto Show found on the 3T Warrior Academy YouTube channel. You can also follow his beautiful face on Twitter at 3TGM Crypto. I, again, am Jeremy, your space moderator for this evening. Thank you so much. You can find me on all the social media platforms at Age of Jeremy. Again, tonight, our special guest was Crypto Area longtime educator and content creator in the crypto space, known for bringing the latest updates to the XRP community and developments out of Japan. You can follow Crypto Area on Twitter at Sinto Sumo Saba, and you can follow her on YouTube or subscribe to her YouTube channel, Crypto Area at Ari-chan in Tokyo. Merlin is the smartest way to track your crypto. Merlin allows you 2 ways to gain allows you two great things. You can see your coins all in one simple to use dashboard, and always you can create exit strategies so you can get notified when your assets approach their targets, so you know when it's time to sell. Again, we are still doing another 90-day free giveaway. Head on over to Threads and follow us on Instagram Threads so we can create more engaging conversation over there as well. And again, the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities that they represent. Congratulations, Rat, for winning that 90-day free trial. And again, Merlin, it's the smartest way to track your crypto.
Thank you for tuning in to the Merlin Crypto Market Update located on the X app. I'm Abs, your host and Senior Engagement Officer at Merlin, and we hope you enjoyed this episode from our Merlin X Spaces. Remember, you can catch us live every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. If you want to take your crypto tracking to the next level, don't miss out on our free 30-day trial at merlincrypto.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.